Thank you, Dauda, for being here.
All right. Thank you so much, Maria. I'm glad to be here. My name is Dauda Yomidio Nowola from Nigeria, and I'm the co-vice president of marketing for ISOHA. And I'm very glad you guys are here to join us. I'm very happy you've been supporting and cooperating with us so far on this first of its kind European virtual conference. We hope to bring more and more to you guys in the future, more webinars, more educative projects, and so on. At the marketing team, what we do is handle ISOR social media pages, and we handle information distribution for the association via all social media channels that we have. I'll try as much as we can to expand the social media outreach for the association. And we also try to be the gateway between the outside world, people that are already ISOA members and people that are not yet ISOA members, and ISOA. So at ISOA, we at the marketing team, we actually have a number of things we're running at the moment, but I want to give these to you in form of privileged information that we are working on a couple of projects that will be hitting the screens very soon. We're working to make the social media pages more lively, more engaging for our members worldwide. And hopefully when you see our new project, you like them and probably we'll get to engage you more and more. Thank you so much. That will be all from me. And I'm very, very glad you guys are here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dauda. This evening, we are very lucky to have Dr. Deborah Thomson as our speaker. Dr. Deborah Thomson is the founder and president of One Health Lessons Point.com, which launched the global One Health education movement and brings internationally acclaimed One Health learning material to children around the world. She has also worked with large and small animals as clinical veterinarian, has saved the science policy advisor in the United States Congress, has been first responded during natural disaster, has educated over 2,000 children about One Health. Thank you so much, Dr. Deborah.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation to the ISOHA team. And just so that the coordinator knows, it looks like I have pop-ups on my screen for admitting people. So I don't know if there's a way to undo that so it doesn't interrupt the flow. But let me start sharing my screen and we'll get started.
Sorry, you don't have to bother about that. We'll take care of the pop-ups. Don't worry, Ma.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all. I'm Dr. Deborah Thomson, as was previously said, and today we'll be discussing One Health multidisciplinary and multicultural team development and leadership. I am grateful to be here, and I have been looking forward to speaking with you today. Now, the hashtag teamwork makes the dream work, that's a real thing. I know it sounds so cliche, but it truly works. And I'll prove it to you today. Let's start at the beginning though, with One Health lessons. And with One Health lessons, you have to understand my background because I started One Health lessons, and you can go to onehealthlessons.com to explore what we do. But in order to really understand where it started, you have to have some background knowledge. So before starting One Health lessons, I was teaching in primary schools, I was teaching adults, and then I was also teaching secondary school students. And I remember my first day meeting the students. I was asking some questions to them, and I was teaching these students English as a second language or sometimes third language. But ultimately, what I wanted to do is I wanted to understand my class. And when I say class, I mean team, but we'll go into that a little bit more soon. These are the questions that I asked my students who were just starting to learn English. What is your name? And do you have a nickname? I wanted to know that because I wanted to have some type of familiar sense with them. Do they prefer Joe instead of Joseph, for instance? What is your favorite band? What is your favorite music? And why do you think that that would be important? Ultimately, it's because if I had activities that were, say, songs in English, I wanted to have the right genre of music to appeal to my students. What is your favorite candy? Now, why is that important for secondary school students? Ultimately, it's because secondary school students love competition, love contests, and they work for incentives. And I wanted these classes to be fun, and I wanted to know what was the thing that really got them interested. And I also wanted to know, did they have any fears that they could share with me? Ultimately, I kept all of this confidential, of course, but it was very helpful if I knew that somebody was afraid to speak in front of another person. Then I didn't allow that situation to happen until much later when I saw that the relationships between students had improved. And of course, what's to be fair, if I'm asking you questions, it's only fair for you to ask me a question. So in front of the class, everybody had an opportunity to ask me one question. And the only question that they could not ask is, what was my age? But that was the only question. That way there's a give and take, right? When you build a team, even if you're at the top of the team or the top of the hierarchy, it's not going to work. Your projects are not going to go as far as they should unless you appreciate that even though you're at the top, you're still a part of a team. And so even though this was mainly to get to know my class, I was learning from them just as much as they were learning from me. And so that was my life before going to veterinary school. I was teaching English language learners. I was teaching music to young children and adults. I was also teaching English language learners who are adults who wanted to improve their communication skills because they were forced to speak in English for their work life. And after that, I went to veterinary school. That's when I first learned about One Health. And you can go to another ISOHA video and hear about my story on that front. But we're going to go in a completely different direction. We're going to be diving into really what One Health Lessons is, how it is functioning. So after going to veterinary school, after doing my internship in veterinary medicine, and then I was a clinician for several years, and I never forgot my love of teaching. And what I ended up doing is, after working my 10, 12-hour shifts at the hospital, then I go home and, just for fun, I create lessons about One Health for children. And then on my days off, I go into classrooms and teach. And fortunately, several years ago, I had the great opportunity to meet with Tyler Chuck and a few others at the Community Resources for Science that's in the San Francisco Bay Area in California, United States. And they had this phenomenal program that brings science role models into schools and teach lessons. And so I created a One Health lesson and then partnered with that system, and we were able to bring out lessons in person for years. And then onehealthlessons.com was launched. You may or may not have heard of it at this time. Hopefully you have heard of it, hopefully. But ultimately, we want to inspire the next generation to see the world as one. And when you get to the homepage, you're going to see these flying items, these flying animals up there. Those are actually bats in a city, in a big city in Australia. And it's ultimately because this forest is a half city block, whereas before it used to be a real legitimate forest. And it's just in one video, you can see truly the relationship between animal health, ecosystem health, right? The environment in general, and human health, because these foxes can be carrying some viruses, some bacteria, some other parasites that are not necessarily good for our health as humans. So when was onehealthlessons.com launched? It was actually launched on May 1st of 2020. And there you will find 7 different age-appropriate lessons for children and adults to teach them about COVID-19, where the virus SARS-CoV-2 likely came from, what people can do right now to protect themselves, and what scientists of various disciplines are doing around the world to make sure families stay safe and healthy in the future. And so I launched the website on May 1st of 2020. And it honestly felt like I was jumping off of a cliff, but I was hoping to fly rather than fall. And certainly the world came together and saw the need for onehealthlessons.com and the need to educate children and adults about One Health. And this huge shift that I mentioned, it really came with a question. It was from a PhD student who found me on LinkedIn because she heard a podcast that I gave back in the early summer. And she asked me one simple question: would you consider having interns? Well, I explained to her, I'm not associated with a university. I'm just, just me. I'm just a single person. And there's no money involved because I'm not getting money for this. So let me think about what I can do and make this into a barter system where the intern can contribute something to One Health Lessons and I can give something to that person. And this is how the intern program grew. It first started off in early summer with 2 interns, Olivia and Carla. Carla is a human medical student in Ecuador, 3rd year, so getting into clinics. Olivia is a 3rd year veterinary student in Ontario. And what was really interesting, since it was only 2 and they had 2 different backgrounds, but similar enough to have conversations about medicine, we were able to have really fun comparative medicine sessions with me and one of my good friends who's a physician at George Washington University Medical School. And so we were comparing, contrasting, how do you do CPR in different species? How do you treat Addisonian disease in different species, for instance? So really interesting. And they brought, what I gave them was the 7 different age appropriate lessons being translated into 35 different languages. They brought the translations up to about 55 languages for these lessons. And then that was the first group of interns. Now the second group of interns were these fine individuals. Giving you some background. So Gabriella is from Brazil and she was a language expansion intern and she has a PhD. Miriam is originally from Mexico, is currently in the United States doing an MPH, Masters of Public Health, and she was the North and South American intern, promotions intern. And then Vanessa is a One Health student in Ontario, Canada, an undergraduate student. Then we have Malik, who was the blog intern, and you can go to onehealthlessons.com and explore the blog section of the website. And he's a human medical student. And then we have several environmental health students here as well. And when I say students, some of these people are professionals. They've already graduated. And then Korede is in Ukraine right now, and he's studying human medicine and also has a bit of a teaching background. And then Doris is in Hong Kong right now, and she has been studying and she finished integrative biology. Let's expand this a little bit more into the 3rd class of interns. Christina is currently actually the webinar series intern. So you can see all of her interviews on the YouTube channel. She studies law at the Sorbonne in Paris, virtually, of course. And then she also studies international relations and history. Stephanie here is a boarded veterinarian, and she's doing her MPH. Juliet is studying conservation medicine. Ifan in Taiwan finished a degree in business and a degree in microbiology. So you can see a lot of people are coming from certainly all over the world, but also they're coming with different backgrounds. To expand this even further, Ahmad is in the 4th or the current class right now, and he's from Pakistan, and he's a veterinary student. Doa is from Turkey, and she is a medical student. We have Angel in Indonesia, who is a dentistry student. And we also have animal science student or graduate from UC Davis, who's in charge of the North and South America Promotion Center, and she's bilingual English and Spanish. And then we also have Ivana, who is actually has been a paralegal, but actually is now a massage therapist. And so you can see everybody has such different backgrounds. How some people have asked me, how can you lead a team with such different backgrounds? Well, number one, you don't have to really change your tune, and we'll get into that shortly. But number two, it's important to see somebody as an individual, right? See what they can bring to the table, see where they want to improve, and you'll get there. So how do you create a multicultural team? Number one, you have to have a dream. And my dream with One Health Lessons is to inspire every child and adult on the planet to value One Health. And it was certainly a dream come true when I saw that the lessons with One Health Lessons have been already taught in Nigeria. And if you want to become a lesson leader, just like Charles here, then I encourage you to go to the YouTube channel of One Health Lessons and look at the Lesson Leaders Program video. But again, this started off with a dream. But you can't just have a dream. You have to set it in action, right? You have to push it in motion. And how do you do that? You need to have a strategy. And what I've taken is start small and just take one day at a time. Honestly, it seems like these days, there are 3 big things that could happen in a week. And then there are 3 big things that could happen within 3 hours. So just take a breath and go with the wave. And I'm grateful for that wave. Here, Steven in Peru is teaching students up at the very high mountains in the Andes. And when you see more pictures, and I think you could see some pictures on the One Health Lessons website, but it's actually mind-blowing to see the community. It's a very small tourist community that, because tourism is not happening, in a big way these days because of COVID, it's a way to make sure that students stay educated. And Stephen was able to, after teaching the lesson that he actually translated into Spanish, he went up the mountain and taught this community about One Health. And then after that, he was able to have a holiday celebration with them several weeks later. So that way the kids don't feel so isolated and that they're still part of the world, which is incredibly meaningful. And it all started because he found me on LinkedIn and he wanted to contribute to translating lessons into Spanish. And then after that, he became a certified lesson leader. And if you want to translate, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. And so I mentioned a barter system before. A barter system is, a give and take. There's no money involved. I exchange one thing for something else, right? And if you look at these 2 big boxes, there are going to be lists in these boxes. Ask yourself, do you think that the interns are going to be contributing more or less compared to what I give them in return? In your past, what have you received? Do you feel like you've given more or less than what you've received? Well, here's the situation with One Health Lessons internship program. What I ask the interns to contribute and to have is a sense of commitment. They have to have very strong organizational skills. They have to have a passion, and they need to be creative. In return, I give them mentorship in communication skills, networking skills, leadership skills, and I bring a cross-cultural opportunity to them. We'll dive into that a little bit more. But how can you build a winning team? And the one thing that I realized very early on is you need to choose well. And when I say very early on, I mean early on in my career, not necessarily early on in One Health lessons, like years and years and years ago. But you really need to choose the team well. And it's funny, I wrote this the other day and I was like, wow, it's what I truly believe. You can teach anything, but you can't teach passion. I feel like the best teacher in the world can teach anything, but you really can't teach passion. You can inspire people, but you can't teach a person to become passionate about something, right? That comes from inside. That's an internal feeling. So when I put out the call for interns on my LinkedIn page and also on the website, and also on the social media pages at this point, I read very closely the letter of intent, the curriculum vitae, and the letters of recommendation. With the letter of intent, what I pay very close attention to is the grammar and the spelling, and also the reason why they want to be an intern. Number two, the curriculum vitae. Honestly, that is less important than the other bits, because ultimately, I want to see you as a whole person. I don't necessarily care what major you're in. I don't care what area of the world you're in. I don't care your gender. I don't care about any of those things. I see you as a person, and I want to see if you're applying for the right reasons, and see where your starting level is at in terms of leadership. And also letters of recommendation is very, very important to me, because I trust other professionals to be honest and thorough in their recommendation letters. So if there's any advice I give to people who are looking for people to write recommendation letters for them, I would say be sure that you ask them if they can write a good recommendation letter, instead of just like a template, fill in the name, this person attended my class, and then that's it. Now, for the people who make it to the second round of the internship selection process, the application process is a two-part section. At the interview, I listened very closely to what is said, what is not said, and how something is said. Because if there's somebody who evades a question, I'll want to know the reason why. I don't mind a lack of experience, because experience can be taught. But what I do want to know is the reason for not having that experience, per se. And so again, while deliberating on your new multidisciplinary team, look at the candidate as a whole person. Is the skill or knowledge that the person is missing, is that skill teachable? Again, the one thing that I cannot teach is passion. And what is a person passionate about? Is the person passionate about human rights? Awesome. How does human rights play into One Health? Well, it plays in a big way. Why are they applying to this position? Are they applying for this to get ahead for their own career? Are they doing this to improve the planet, right? That's a huge difference between the two. And is that person the right fit for the team? That is very important, because I've had some situations where people were great individuals on their own, but I was also thinking of how people would work together. And it's incredibly important, even though you saw sometimes 14 people on the screen in a team, in a class of interns, we all have to be open-minded enough to accept each other's differences and appreciate each other's differences. And so ultimately, I asked myself, is this person a good representation of my dream team? And I encourage you to think of that when you are building a multidisciplinary team. And so people ask me, okay, how on earth do you have 14 interns at once? Well, I have been fortunate to have a large amount of experience working in the United States government. I was working on Capitol Hill, and you can hear about that in another ISOHA talk that I've given. But ultimately, I crafted this internship program off of a structure that I was living in the United States Senate, in the United States Congress. And the way it works is that, and if you read a book that I've written, you'll see the special type of layout of different offices and hierarchies and such. But there is a hierarchy. For me, it's for One Health Lessons, it is me and the board of One Health Lessons at the top. And then there's the administrative intern. And then there's the senior promotions intern. And so from there are a lot of other interns. Now, the American Sign Language intern is not only American Sign Language intern, she's also the language expansion intern, okay? This senior promotions intern was previously the George Washington University liaison intern. And the administrative intern is also right now the social media intern. So everybody has multiple roles. And you see how I put a lot of overlap of these boxes? It's because one person can't stand alone in a team. In order to improve ourselves and in order to improve the team and the mission of One Health Lessons to inspire every child on the planet to care about One Health, we have to work together. And so everybody has their own set roles, but they need to interact with others in order to achieve their goals. So just to go through the different countries that are represented here, we have Nigeria, Pakistan, Turkey, Uganda, Turkey/North Macedonia, US, Uganda, Indonesia, US, Canada, and then me. And I'm Canadian and American. So when it comes to, say, the ISOHA intern, Miriam from Nigeria, she's working closely with ISOHA to make sure that the Lesson Leaders program, if you want, and again, look at the YouTube video of Lesson Leaders, but if you want to be a certified lesson leader and bring the lessons from One Health Lessons into your community, and you want it to be certified by ISOHA and One Health Lessons, then you work through that program that Miriam is a part of. Now, when it comes to teamwork and team building, it's incredibly important to stay creative and to be comfortable with change. And this is just an illustration of how being creative is something that's encouraged in our team. We, in October, had a international contest. It was an art and music contest for people around the world of all different ages to share with the world through art and music what One Health means to them. And Delia from Hong Kong won in this age group. And she illustrated here that this is a single branch with a bird and it's a lovely situation, right? And then this is the same branch, but something has changed, right? And these could be binoculars, if you want to think of it like that, or it could be something else. But ultimately, in just an image, you can share a message. And I feel like that's quite creative. And when it comes to building a team, creativity is vital. Just for fun, I wanted to share this with you all. This is the winner from the 5 to 8 year old group, Nina. She was from the United States. And I asked her, I was able to contact her and ask her how she envisioned this. So the title is All the Animals and People Enjoying the Ocean. A healthy ocean means healthy and happy animals and people. So clearly here's the ocean. This is her and her friend with, I guess, a few octopus or squids nearby or jellyfish. And then this is a dolphin and a beach. and a lobster and a crab and her parents and her friend's parents. So a 5-year-old drew this. She realized that, a healthy ocean, healthy environment can lead to happy and healthy people. If you want to see more art and this incredible video of kids singing from Colombia, from the country Colombia, you could go to onehealthlessons.com and check that out. It is, if you want to smile today, go there. It is amazing. So when it comes to the interns in general, one of the interns was responsible for to launch that art and music contest, and that person was entitled the Global Partnerships Intern. And it was a great success. And the winners were announced on International One Health Day, which is, of course, November 3rd. And it got more and more people involved in using the arts to promote science, which is really cool. So when it comes to the interns that we have in the One Health Lessons program, yes, sure, they look for opportunities, but what happens when you don't find those opportunities? Well, then you create opportunities for yourself. Think about that. If you can't find them, figure out with your creativity, how can you make opportunities happen? And I encourage you all to follow all of our social media platforms, because you're going to find a lot more opportunities that way. Now, going back to this barter system, right? It's a give and take. And as I mentioned at the start, even though I'm technically at the top of the hierarchy of One Health Lessons, I'm learning from the interns just as much as they are learning from me. I remember the economics intern from a few classes back. He presented how One Health and economics plays into each other. And as the pandemic has proven, it plays into each other in a huge way. But he presented during a weekly meeting of ours. And all of the interns have meetings with me, either one-on-one or in groups each week. So let's dive into the definition of One Health, right? In my personal opinion, One Health can be described in 2 different ways. And this is my personal opinion, take it as you will, but I feel like One Health can be a concept and One Health can be an approach. Let's first talk about the concept of One Health. One Health is the connection or interconnection between our health, the environment, animals, and plant, right? It's the connection, right? What is the One Health approach? The One Health approach is teamwork between people of various backgrounds and strengths, and we work together to improve the health of animals, plants, people, and the environment, right? And so that's the simple version of this US CDC's definition of One Health, which is, of course, the collaborative, multi-sectoral, transdisciplinary approach, working at the local, regional, national, and global levels with the goal of achieving optimal health outcomes, recognizing the interconnection between people, animals, plants, and their shared environment. Now, picking those keywords apart, collaborative, the One Health Lessons internship program is certainly collaborative. Multi-sectoral and transdisciplinary, we'll get into that shortly, and local, regional, national, and global levels. Those are all addressed with the internship program. And it ultimately comes down to how creative an intern is in expanding their message. Okay, so I know this looks like a very busy slide. I apologize for that, but I wanted to give enough notice and give what's due to the great interns that I've had so far. You'll see that there are various disciplines, and let's pick it apart a little bit. You'll see that the vast majority, say the top 5 disciplines, are really the typical One Health disciplines, right? And you might say, okay, well, why are there so many veterinarians? It's because more veterinarians tend to know about One Health compared to any other discipline, right? but that can change. And I hope that will change, because if veterinarians are only talking with other veterinarians, what good will that be, right? What good will that do for everybody? So let's go in the next 5. There are some people who have studied law, statistics and economics. And you'll see even a One Health major. Now, certainly when I was an undergraduate student, there was no way anything would have been called One Health. Absolutely not. So it's really wonderful to see that the world is changing and that there's improvements in opportunities for people. And of course, we have somebody in dentistry, and somebody might ask, well, why would a dental student or a dentist want to be a part of this? Well, if you know anything about One Health, is teamwork, right? One Health is bringing together a lot of different specialties and disciplines and backgrounds, and you'd be surprised with how much somebody with a dental background can contribute to the health message. And even when I was interviewing the person who's a massage therapist, it was absolutely amazing to hear how she was speaking about the relationship between the environment and our health for years. Like this is something that she's been talking about for a very long time. And so she knew what One Health was in the concept, but she didn't know the term. And that's a very common thing. But it takes teamwork to really get the message out there of what the term means. Okay, so again, it's a barter system, it's a give and take. And in order to keep One Health Lessons sustainable, we did launch a GoFundMe account. So just a heads up on that front. It's just Help Health Lessons. And just like at the start of this talk, I was telling you about my questions for my secondary school students when I was teaching them about English and teaching them English as a second language. Well, I was asking the interns before they start the internship what they wanted to improve on. What is their wish? One person said, I would like to improve my character, experience new things, meet new people, expand my knowledge and networking, and learn a lot of new things. Great. It's pretty general, but it also means that they're very open-minded. Another person said, meet and connect with new people and make an impact. Interesting. Make an impact. How many people do you hear them actually verbalize that wish? I think it takes a special person. And another person said, connections to other professionals in the field, improve communication, leadership, and time management. Well, certainly this internship program improves those things. Now, as any good organization would do, you do pre-internship surveys and then you do post-internship surveys. And so here are some quotes in the feedback section of the surveys that I got. The word global was commonly used, and it was big for me, as in you'll reach out to statisticians and mathematicians globally. This person was probably, the economics or a statistics intern. This was, I made a lot of great connections with people all over the world in multiple disciplines who were interested in One Health. I improved public speaking and communication skills. I have had a refined organization and time management skills and practice writing and translating. So that sounds to me like the internship experience for that particular person was successful because she mentioned multiple disciplines and all over the world. And so that's One Health, right? That's the whole point of One Health. And this was feedback from, I believe, somebody from the second class of interns for all future interns. Don't give up. Don't think to give up at any point. The future will be so bright with One Health Lessons, which is a truly nice thing to say. So thank you, whoever you are, if you are listening. Okay. So we went through a lot already. We went through the team building. We went through team development in choosing the right people. Now we're going to talk a little bit about leadership skills. And granted, during this internship opportunity, all the interns learn to strengthen their leadership skills. And keep in mind also that on this slide, I'm going to be listing a few different words. Those words are ultimately what's incorporated throughout a book that I'm writing, and I'm happy to talk about that in a later time. But it's really important to make sure everybody is at a very high level with these particular skills. So communication, right? Communication is a two-way street. Communication does not mean only public speaking. Communication means actively listening and also strategizing. Motivation. What is the motivation for somebody to do something? Like I said before, somebody could have a passion. Somebody could inspire others, but ultimately with the combination of understanding the target audience through active listening and perfecting your communication skills, you'll be much better suited to then motivate others. Public speaking is of paramount importance because that's the only way you can really get your message out on a visceral level. Sure, you can go on social media and inspire people to act at a certain way, but unless you have some type of connection, they hear your voice or they see your body language, right? You're not going to get to the same level of intimacy or relationship building if you have problems with public speaking. Strategy. And like I said, this comes down to communication, motivation, and public speaking. Know your audience and know how to address your audience in an efficient manner. And something that I realized is that you have to be very comfortable with change if you're a leader. And that was what I was trying to reference earlier with the creativity section, right? There are going to be huge changes within a day, within a week, that are, certainly the pandemic has shown that with people, right? On a great scale. But in order to get through that quote unquote storm, you have to be comfortable with change and you have to strategize with this change. How can we lead the team to get through it and to succeed? Now, if you heard enough of my voice, that's totally fine. But if you want to hear from the intern's perspective, you can go to the One Health Lessons YouTube channel. And there's a section, there's a playlist in there of intern perspectives, and you can hear from them about their experiences, what they've learned, and what they want to do in the future with One Health. Again, teamwork makes the dream work. I truly believe that. And I'm so, so grateful to have met these 28 incredible individuals who have contributed already so much to the global One Health education movement with One Health Lessons, but also are continuing to inspire others in their communities to reach out and encourage more people to teach One Health Lessons and bring the message out there and inspire change throughout the world. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thanks so much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deborah. That was truly an inspiring talk. And I think, you've mentioned a lot of different opportunities for people to get involved with One Health Lessons during your talk. And hopefully all of you participating have been following the chat. So I've been putting up the links that Dr. Deborah has talked about. They're all linked to each other through the main website, onehealthlessons.com, but you can find the direct links in the chat if you so wish. We're happy to take some questions now, but if it's okay with you, Dr. Deborah, is it all right, because this is the last session, if we sort of get everyone to switch the cameras on and we'll take a group picture together and then we'll just go on with the Q&A. So I know, because for those of you at home, I know not all of you can stay beyond the hour. So because we're so delighted to have you with us on this Sunday evening, you should be able to switch your cameras on now. I've enabled that. So, for all of you joining us at home, we would love if you just switch on your camera just to say a quick hello. Thank you so much for being here with us this whole week. We truly are very grateful for your support for us, and we hope that you've enjoyed, the week so much. And definitely, if you do have questions, keep them coming in the chat box. I see we have more questions coming in now, so perfect. Thank you for that. lovely to see everyone's faces. So we have well over 100 participants. So if you can just switch on your cameras. Perfect, thank you. I think, well, Christina is with us, and so we'll let her take the picture because she's our event manager, so she runs our social media. So if you can all just, I know it's a bit weird from being at home behind your cameras, but if you can just smile and sort of hold it there for maybe 5-10 seconds, she cycles through the different pages for all of you. So thank you so much. It's so lovely to see all of you and to put a face to each of your names on the Zoom call. I hope, you know, if you've been with us this whole week, that you've enjoyed the nights that you have been with us. And yeah, we're just so happy that you've joined us and supported us through this event. Cool. Are you happy, Christina? Is that?
Just 3 more seconds, please. And the last one. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm just gonna turn off all your videos now. So, or if you could just switch your videos off as well. Thank you. Thanks for your patience, Dr. Deborah. So we have lots of questions coming in. Perfect. So we'll hit on straight through to the Q&A then. So our first question is from Bamlak Kasahun. He's not able to ask the question himself because of connection problems, so I will put it in the chat for you as well, Dr. Deborah, and I'll read it for you. And it's perfect because I think you alluded to your book earlier. So his question is, in your opinion, what is the ultimate goal of One Health, and what aspects of One Health do you cover in your new book?
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. So my book is about science communication. And the book does touch upon One Health, of course, but I framed it in a way that's, I don't know if you're familiar with How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's like the communication book from Dale Carnegie many decades ago. So it's like that, but for scientists. And when I say scientists, I mean clinicians, I mean bench scientists, I mean engineers, mathematicians, technologists, all of the STEM and medicine, of course. So it's a communications book. And I'll announce on my LinkedIn page when it will be launched, which is very exciting. Now, the future of One Health or the future of One Health lessons. I guess I'll take the future of One Health lessons. What I ultimately want with One Health lessons is to have every child on the planet, number one, hearing the words One Health, and number two, inspiring them to care about it. It's one of those things that we're not going to be dealing with climate change unless we get everybody on board. And you don't understand how climate change affects people's health until you have that conversation or you see it in your own family. Actually, that is actually discussed in my book. The future of One Health in general, the concept or the teamwork approach, what I would want is in 10 to 20 years, teams, regardless of if you're talking about in an office or in a lab or at the government level, people from various backgrounds ultimately contributing to the same project so that we start to work more efficiently in the world. That's where I see One Health in general. And I understand, One Health, we think, it all comes down to health and human health. Ultimately, if you just whittle it down to the bare bones, but you can use that teamwork and multidisciplinary approach in anything, right? So I hope that One Health lessons will inspire kids to start to look at more opportunities that they can contribute to and learn from while working with people when they grow up, of course, of various strengths and abilities and skills. So I hope that's not too general, but not too specific. Hopefully that'll answer your question.
Thank you for your response. I'm just looking at chat as well. So Doris has just put her information up there, as well as her LinkedIn, profile. So if any of you are interested to learn more about the Lessons Leaders program, do go ahead and contact her. I will also again post a LinkedIn profile to Dr. Deborah. I did so earlier, but I'll put it on the chat now. So if you want to stay up to date with her book, as well as any updates on in the future progress of One Health Lessons, do give her a follow. But thank you for your response, Dr. Deborah. So just before we go on again, Christina's just going to put the link to the attendance in the chat. So for all of you at home waiting for that, it will come in shortly now. Now, next question is from Dr. Ali. I'm going to try to let you unmute yourself, Dr. Ali, as we did yesterday. So hopefully it should work. Hello.
Hello, good evening. Sorry. It was a great presentation. Thank you so much. I actually used science art, when the lockdown was not there in some rural schools in South Africa for education. So I actually was asking you if you like to sort of, continue using these interns, at least those of them that are interested, even when their internship is finished, sort of as global ambassadors, something like that. We had another organization that was sort of changing the title to global ambassador to tell them that you don't need to stop it after the internship is finished. Just continue kind of being a flag in that country, because then you will have a representative in each country that they will continue even to work with your future interns. I'm asking if you like to do such a program for future. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the kind comment and the question. That's actually happening. I just didn't mention it, but all of the interns who had been interns are associated with the current interns. So it's like a mentorship program. And say, for instance, one of the previous language expansions interns, she's studying conservation medicine at Tufts University. And she was also the Tufts University liaison intern with One Health Lessons. She's going to continue on as the Tufts University liaison associate, we call it now, to assist with the senior promotions intern. And that way we still keep our relationships with various universities around the world and various communities. You mentioned an ambassadors program. I think that would be a good, excuse me, a good lead-in to talking so much today. Excuse me. The ambassadors program. Okay, so I'll just touch upon that for a moment. I mentioned their lesson leaders program. The Lesson Leaders program is for people to dedicate 4 hours of their time to be trained with how to teach lessons about One Health in classrooms around the world, either virtual classrooms or in person, wherever it's safe. After those 4 hours, then they become certified lesson leaders. From that point, they teach in their own community, in their own first language, the lessons on One Health Lessons website. And if they teach in their own communities 5 times, then they become a certified One Health Lessons ambassador. At that point, once you have the ambassador designation, then you can teach others in your own first language, in your own community, how to teach lessons, excuse me, about One Health. So that's the ambassadors program that's associated with One Health Lessons, because ultimately we're growing, instead of in a linear fashion, we're growing exponentially, and we're not relying on bilingual people at that point. Once the One Health Lessons ambassador is teaching in their own community, in their own first language, then they can teach others in their own first language how to teach these lessons. And so it's like a pay it forward type of movement that's happening around the world. Thank you so much for that question and comment.
Thank you, Dr. Deborah. So the next question is by Ibrahima Kuma. he or she hasn't responded to me if they want to ask the question themselves, but I'm just going to try to unmute yourself, Ibrahima, if you would like to ask the question. If not, I'll ask it on your behalf. I'll just give you a couple of seconds. Okay, maybe not. It's fine. I'll put it in chat. So I think you've covered part of it already with regard to the internship, but Ibrahim's question is basically about the internship. So what is the internship procedure like? And, is it done remotely, virtual? And I guess, how would you go about applying for it as well?
Right. Thanks for that question. The internship program is 100% virtual in that I train you virtually. We meet on Zoom once a week, typically Saturday mornings for me, either very late at night for the folks in Asia, and then in the afternoon for folks in Africa and Europe. And the thing is, though, even though you are communicating with me via Zoom or via WhatsApp, with the training section, you are working in your own communities or in your own country or in your own continent, depending on what your position is. And you could work via phone, in person, virtually. But that ultimately depends on how safe it is in the world right now, wherever you are. But when it comes to the training aspect, it's all 100% virtual. Yeah. Oh, and then how to apply, I think. Was that part of the question? Oh, internship procedure.
Yeah.
So I might as well answer that question too. So the best thing, if you really want to get at the very start of my announcement, I do announce on LinkedIn. So you're welcome to add me, connect with me on LinkedIn, and just say that you found me on this platform. But it's just Deborah Thomson, DVM. And that's where I make the first initial announcement for the next set of interns. Heads up, the current set of interns, they're going to be done at the end of April. So probably at the start of April, I will be making an announcement. Otherwise, we're also going to be announcing on the website, as well as announcing on social media platforms.
Thank you. So yeah, I've put the LinkedIn again to Dr. Deborah, again, once more in the chat. So in case you missed it the first 2 times, that's the way to get the most up-to-date information if you'd like to connect with her. We have another question from Khusro Rehan. I'm gonna see if you want to mute yourself, because I didn't get a response. So you should be able to unmute yourself if you'd like to. If not, I will post your question for you. Right, so I would just put the question in the chat. So what I'm getting for this question is, I think what Khusro wants to ask is, will you be involved as a representative of One Health Lessons in any other future conferences, like you did with our previous engagement with other ISOHA events? I guess they're asking, do you have any sort of future events you'd like to invite people here to?
Oh, thank you. Well, if you're speaking French, I'm giving a talk in 4 hours to a group in Burkina Faso, but it will be in French. So I announced that on LinkedIn, and you're welcome to organize that. But in general, yeah, if you want to have a talk organized that features One Health Lessons, say in your university, then I'm happy to speak. There are just a few logistics that have to be reviewed, and I include the interns in that process. But ultimately, say for instance, oh, and this would be good to announce while I'm thinking about it. So Miriam, who's in Nigeria, who's associated with the University of Ilorin, she's there, is organizing a cross-university talk where I will be presenting about One Health Lessons, but she's looking for all of the veterinary schools in Nigeria to be participating in this event. So I announced it on my LinkedIn page. Feel free to check that out and connect with Miriam if you are from Nigeria and you are interested in contributing to this event. But ultimately, yeah, what I'm doing right now is I'm speaking at a lot of different universities, doing a lot of webinars and getting the message out there and talking about the Lesson Leaders program, and also looking for more translations, more translators around the world, so that we can expand this, the lessons even wider.
Thank you. Kusra, I think you've managed to unmute yourself. Would you like to follow up on that, or are you happy? All right, I'll take it that that was perfectly answered. So thank you for your question. Our next participant with a question is Shahadu Inusa, and I'm just going to ask you to unmute yourself now. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
My question is that what is the ultimate goal in fighting One Health in order for us to meet the target? And furthermore, about the weapon we need, or what we need to achieve or to attain that ultimate goal.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, and I'm also seeing it in the chat, I just want to make sure I understand. In your point of view, what is the ultimate weapon to achieve the target of One Health approach, so of the teamwork and AMR around the globe? So how can we use One Health to improve the situation with AMR? Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so when it comes to the One Health approach, again, I see it as teamwork, right? On so many different levels of regional, global, community level. AMR is one of the cornerstones of One Health, in my opinion. We need to address how there's resistant pathogens in the environment and how that's exposed to people and where the source of it comes from, but then also how it affects animals, and how we and animals and the environment can stay as healthy as possible, right? So AMR, so to just benefit everybody, AMR means antimicrobial resistance. If you think of, say, the super bugs, if you have an infection and it can't be treated with a antibiotic and it's an infection of a bacteria, then you're not going to get better with medications, because the bacteria has been it's been conditioned to not respond and be killed or weakened by the antibiotic. So that's what AMR means. So certainly we need to have more and more and more people talking about AMR, but in a, how do I say this? In an effective manner. And what I mean to say by that is talk is fine, but action is better. So if we are going to dedicate our times to talking, we need to make sure that we speak to the right people who can actually change policies. And there's an expression in English, put your money where your mouth is, and to fund not just research, but also preventative action items to improve and to, how about this, to resistant transmit of resistant antimicrobials in the future. So we're at a point right now where we have so much research out there about AMR, but is it actually hitting the right audience? Are we actually getting the policymakers and the people of great influence and power to appreciate the importance of it? I think there's room for improvement there, and people from all different backgrounds who really do care about AMR can approach their local policymakers or regional or country or even global, international policies and speak about the importance of AMR, but do it in a way that lands well for your audience. And it's one of the reasons why I created this book. When I was working on Capitol Hill in Washington, DC, I saw over and over and over again people coming in with great intentions, and they're scientists and they're prestigious, and it was wonderful to meet them. But sometimes after the meetings, my colleagues go to me and they're like, Deb, can you translate that for us? Like, why do we care? What type of action can we take with this information? And so it happened way too many times, that type of conversation after a meeting. And because I was the token scientist in the office, it was my responsibility to translate science to something that's meaningful to them. And so that's why I wrote that book. So when it comes to AMR, antimicrobial resistance, it's incredibly important to not just talk about it, but make sure you talk to the right people about it so that we can really have meaningful changes happen. And taking the One Health approach, as in people from all different backgrounds and disciplines coming to the people of power and great influence and having the same message, is going to be much more meaningful than just, say, a single person. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, please.
Thank you for your question
you.
and for your response, Dr. Deborah. Before the next question, just to draw your attention to the chat, so both Dr. Sharrow and Perry have posted links which will bring you to sort of the events by the One Health Commission that Dr. Deborah works closely with as well. So there is a link by Dr. Sharrow to subscribe to the listserv, and that's our email updates that you can get, with regard to what is happening in the world at the moment in relation to One Health. So that's a really good resource to have. Our next question is by Malik. I will let you unmute yourself.
Oh, yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Shannon. Good evening, Dr. Deborah. It's a privilege to attend this meeting, this conference. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, my question, is I don't know, I want to ask Dr. Deborah, what are the measures put in place to include health lessons, health lessons in academic curriculum across the globe, especially African schools, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Malik. Nice to hear your voice. I don't know if it was Malik's last, it might be the same Malik, I'm not sure. But there was a Malik in the second class of interns. So if it's the same person, nice to hear your voice again. So the question was, how can we get One Health lessons as a core curriculum in schools? When it comes to the primary and secondary schools, it's a whole nother ball of wax, and I can dedicate an hour to 5 hours talking about that. Let's talk about what I've already seen happen with core curriculum, or at least associated with universities. So when it comes to the Masters of Public Health programs, at least in the United States, there's something called IPE, which is like this practicum that students need to do in order to get their degree. And so what has happened is there's a pilot project and program happening with the IPE sector of the Masters of Public Health section or department of George Washington University in Washington, DC, which will get the Lesson Leaders program as one of the opportunities and practical experiences that these people need to graduate. So ultimately, with this degree, the Masters of Public Health degree at that university, they would all have the opportunity to teach about One Health to students of various ages, and do it in a confident way. And I see that serves two purposes. Number one, it benefits the community. It brings science to areas of the world where you don't have very strong science programs. You yourself serve as a science mentor, or at least say a role model. You bring science to life. So instead of saying, scientists are so elite, or it just sounds so foreign to a lot of students, you could be in a sweatshirt, in a hoodie, and talking to kids, and you look like a normal person. You know, you're not in a white coat, you don't have a pocket protector or pens in your white coat, you don't have a stethoscope around your neck. You look very accessible, and it's a great way to inspire children to consider science in their future, or STEM in general in their future. And STEM, of course, is science, engineering, and mathematics. But at the same time, being a lesson leader provides to the Masters of Public Health students a way to improve their science communication skills that nothing else can match. Students, particularly children who are students, don't let you get away with nonsense. As in, if you're too boring, they're going to tell you. If you make a mistake, they might tell you, right? They'll ask questions. They'll make you think in a different way. And as hard as it might sound, it is the only way we can improve ourselves in our communication. And there are not enough scientists out there who can communicate well, in my humble opinion. I know that sounds pretty strong, but if that was the case already, then I don't think we would be dealing with the problems that we have in the world right now. So we need to be better communicators, from scientists in all walks of life. And then I also wanted to make sure that everybody gets wished a happy One Health Awareness Month. And as Dr. Cheryl Stroud had mentioned in the chat, it is One Health Awareness Month this month, and it's the second year in a row, which is wonderful. And at least if you look at the social media platforms that we have with One Health Lessons, every single day there's something new there. And I encourage you all to do the same thing on your own social media platforms. So thanks for the question, Malik. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. Thank you. Actually, it was the same Malik.
Okay, nice to hear your voice.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I am looking through chat, but I don't see any new questions. So if I've missed your questions, please put it up on chat for me again to see. But before we end the night, maybe Dr. Deborah, you could, because you had a slide earlier that was really busy about all the different interns and the different aspects that they cover in One Health lessons. So and I think some of them are actually with us on the meeting tonight. So maybe you would like to draw attention to sort of the most important interns or specific interns that we might want to contact if there are specific areas that we might be interested in.
Thank you very much for that opportunity. And later today, I will be writing on my LinkedIn page who is in the current intern class and what they're responsible for. And then that way you can directly message them. But let's go here. I'll do the screen sharing one more time just so that everybody has a face to that name. Am I still screen sharing? I'm not sure.
No, you were for a moment and then it's cut off now.
Was 1 second. Okay. I'll do it one more time. Here we are. Okay.
Yeah, it's on.
Yep, thank you. Okay, so the current interns that are on this list, here's Angel. Angel is in Indonesia, and she's responsible for being a language expansion intern and the Siahun, and speaking with Siahun as well as other organizations in Asia. And she's pretty much the Asia promotions intern. Doris Ma is in Hong Kong, and she is leading the Lesson Leaders program. And this is for anybody in the world, regardless of their region in the world. Kari is the North and South America's promotions intern. And she is accessible to anybody who wants to bring about lessons in their communities anywhere in this section of the planet. Ivana is the Toastmasters liaison intern, and she's meeting with many different Toastmasters groups. And if you don't know what Toastmasters is, be sure to know what it is in the next week, because it can change your life. Toastmasters is a public speaking club, but really a communication club. And so Ivana goes to all of these different Toastmasters clubs throughout the world and speaks about really what is One Health and what is the mission of One Health Lessons. Vanessa is the administrative intern and also the social media intern. Okay, then have, okay, I'm missing Alana's, oops, sorry, Alana. I'm missing Alana's picture here. Alana is the American Sign Language intern and also language promotions intern. Next we have Charles, who is the Africa promotions intern. Then we have Miriam, who is the University of Alohan's liaison intern, as well as very closely working with Charles and also Jacob in helping them promote more and more. And also Miriam is a language expansion intern. Jacob is in Uganda, and he is the University of Makerere University liaison intern, as well as the Afrihoon promotions and liaison intern, let's say that. And then we have Christina, who is the webinar series intern, and she interviews people who are interns, who are professionals, who are volunteers with One Health Lessons. Then we have Doa, who's also a language expansion intern, and she's responsible for also the promotions throughout all of Europe and the UK. So if you want to connect with her and you live in Europe, as I am sure most of you do, given where we're speaking today, connect with Doa, and her name is spelled D-O-G-A. And then last but not least, certainly is Ahmad, who is in Pakistan, and he's responsible for being the Rotary Club liaison intern. So if you're part of Rotarac, or if you're part of Rotary clubs and you want to involve health lessons in that, then definitely reach out to him. And he's in Pakistan, and he's also working as a university liaison intern in his community. And I think I covered everybody. I'm sorry if I missed anybody. And sorry, Alana, I missed your picture. Hopefully that will help, but I will also make that announcement on LinkedIn today after the meeting, after our meeting today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deborah, and thank you for all the information you've shared with us. I think this is such a great opportunity for everyone here to get involved with, and hopefully you have a lot more people signing up for your Lessons Leaders program and interns in the next cycle. But thank you so much for being here, and giving us such a wonderful presentation on a Sunday. So we're really delighted to have had you here today.
Thank you again for the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to connecting with all of you shortly, and onwards and upwards, everybody. Happy One Health Awareness Month.
Thank you, and good luck for your next
so
presentation in French. And thank you to everyone who's joined us this evening, and like I said, with who you've been joining us for the whole week. We thank you for your support. Maybe if we can just get the rest of the organizing committee just to switch on the video. So I know you've seen a lot of my face and Maria's face, and we're both very happy that you've supported us through this event. But working behind the scenes, we had Andreas as well. So Andreas is our president of ISOHA, and he has put in a lot of work to make sure that this event has been a success. And Christina as well, who is part of the marketing team, and she was our event manager. So everything you see on Facebook, on the social media platforms, on Instagram, on LinkedIn is all of her doing. So just want to thank everyone who's put in a lot of work, and also special shout out to Dr. Cheryl. I think she's still with us in the meeting. So thank you for your support and for the support of the One Health Commission, as well as all the speakers who's joined us this week. I see Dr. George Ledeke is with us again this evening. So thank you for your support. And again, for all of you who have dutifully participated in this event. So we send our regards. And before we end off the evening, just again, a final call for your journal submissions. So we've extended our deadline to 25th of January. So you have about a week and a bit to submit any of your research articles, commentaries, or any piece of work really. Dr. Deborah was talking about how artwork can, relate to One Health. And so even if you have a poem or some sort of graphic that you like to, that is related to One Health, this would be a great avenue and platform for you to do it. The link is here, but it's more easily accessible through any of our social media platforms. And if you joined us from the beginning, you heard from Dorda, our Vice President for Marketing, and there's a lot of plans in works for our social media platforms. So it's going to be a lot more interactive. It's going to be a lot more engaging. So if you haven't already done so, we highly recommend that you follow us on, all preferably, but, if not, the social media of your choosing. But we look forward to your submissions. And this is the link as well as the QR code. So either will work for the attendance for tonight. Again, if you've been with us for at least 5 days already, we would still value your submissions through the attendance form so that we can gather some data about the people attending tonight's talk as well. The link should come through again in chat. So either Christina or Andreas will put it in the chat box once more. And we will keep this link open for another 5 to 10 minutes. And so will this meeting stay open. And just again, finally, thank you for your support and thank you for being here with us. If you have any questions or if you have any suggestions that you like about this webinar or things that you like to reach out to us about, just feel free to contact us through any ways, through any of our emails, which you should already have at this point, or if not, through our social media platforms as well. And we are more than happy to engage with you. So thank you again, everyone, and have a good evening or morning, afternoon, wherever you are.